I'm going to work through the first example of this section. So this section is about differentiation of logarithmic functions. The rule for the derivative of ln x or ln natural x, natural log of absolute x. The derivative of the natural log of absolute x is 1 over x. Okay. So we require x not equal to 0. Of course, you cannot take logarithm of 0. So this formula is a little strange because we got the absolute sign here, but it really means it includes both x and the positive and negative x. It says x can be both positive and negative. Okay. So this actually includes two functions, ln x and ln negative x, if you want. But at the end, the derivative is always 1 over x, whether x is positive or negative. Okay, so you just consider ln absolute x as one function if you want. All right, and in this example, we need to find the derivative of h of x, which is ln x over x. Okay, so we're going to use the rule for the derivative of ln x. So here we don't have the absolute value of x, so that means x has to be positive. You cannot take a natural log or logarithm of a negative number. But when you apply the rule for the derivative of ln x, it just equals 1 over x. Okay, that's just one case of this rule. This rule includes, two different cases when you write ln natural log of x. So ln x is just one branch of this function ln natural x. So we can still use the same rule. So it gives 1 over x when you take the derivative of natural log of x. So this is one thing you should understand first. Then in this problem itself, the function h is defined as a quotient of two functions. The top is ln x and the bottom is x itself. So those are two functions. X itself is a function. Okay. So we have to use the quotient rule. Okay. So that's the first thing you need to do. So you have to figure out, in the large picture, what the first rule to use. And we figure out that, this function is just a quotient of two functions. So we have to use the quotient rule. So this is how you store this kind of problems, when you have a complicated function. You have to figure out what's the first rule to use. All right, so the derivative of h prime will be a quotient. According to the quotient rule, it has to be the derivative of the top. So ln x prime times the bottom minus the top ln x times the derivative of the bottom. If you forget this, the rule I just reminded you. Okay, over the square of the bottom. So that's just the square of x, isn't it? So that's the quotient rule. If you forget that, the quotient rule says the derivative of a quotient of two functions is equal to the derivative of the numerator times the denominator minus the numerator times the derivative of the denominator over the square of the denominator. Okay, so then we just apply the rules for logarithm, and the derivative of ln x is just 1 over x. As I just said, we can use the rule. We have the formula here. That's just the one branch or one part of this formula, so we can use this formula. So then we have to multiply this by x, 1 over x by x. So the derivative of ln x is just 1 over x times x minus x times the derivative of x, and we know the derivative of x is just 1. And at the bottom, the square of x is just x squared. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. And then 1 over x times x, just the x over x. That's just 1, isn't it? If I write down everything step by step, we can write it as x over x. Or you can think of 1 over x times x as 1 over x times times x over 1. Okay, so this is how you do multiplication of fractions with numbers. So that'll be the first term on the top, and then minus ln x. Okay, ln x times 1 is just the ln x, and the bottom is just the x squared. So now, oops, I guess I have to write x squared. Oh, wait. So, and then what do we have is just the what? So 1 over x, x over 1, x cancels. So we got a 1. Okay, it's not 0. So just make sure you don't make this kind of mistakes when you multiply things, and you cancel, effect from the top and the bottom of a fraction. You're gonna get a 1. Okay. So the first term on top is 1, and then the other term is just negative ln x, and the bottom is just 1 way. It's just x squared. So at the end, the answer is just 1 minus ln x over x squared. So that's the answer. All right.